second thing, I guess I will ask Mr. Schubert Lane if he would give an invocation.
Our Father in heaven, this is beginning of the time we come to you with our head from the heart. Lord, we want to say to you, Lord, thank you. Thank you, Lord, for the many blessings you stored upon us. And thank you for peace, guidance, and lead us. Things we give thee bless and ask your name in Christ's sake. Amen.
Amen.
Flag, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll begin. Some of you may have been here before, some of you may have not. And if you'll look to your right, you'll notice there's a time clock. There are 2 time clocks. We give each side 10 minutes to present their presentation. And if it goes any longer than that, we have the right to add a few more minutes, but just, it'll be working. And so you may want to reserve some of your time, or we want to hear from everyone. But if you signed up to speak and come up here and say the same thing the previous person did, then maybe you're keeping somebody else from presenting something new. And we'll begin the meeting tonight with the approval or the amendment of the minutes from the last meeting.
of the motion to approve the minutes.
All right, we have one motion to approve. Is there a second? Mr. Bath, all those in favor? The minutes are approved as read. Also, there are certain items on the agenda that are legislative decisions, which means that we are a referring body and the county commissioners will have to make a final determination. The county commission meeting will be March 3rd, 5:30 in this room. So the 2 items that we are legislative, I'll remind you, but they'll be heard for final March 3rd. All right, thank you. All right. Item number 1 on the agenda. From Bullock Academy has applied for a variance to the freestanding sign height maximum and square footage maximum as required in section 2211, table 2, section 2211. It states that freestanding sign maximum square footage is 40 square feet and the maximum height is 8 feet. The property is located at 873 West Side Road. Mary?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Bullock Academy has applied for a variance to the freestanding sign height maximum and square foot maximum required in section 2211, table 2. Here's the location on the map showing that it's west of Statesboro and it's in the suburban corridor character area. This is a photo of the zoning map that shows it's zoned R40. Here's an aerial of the property, and it is also Bullock Academy School. So, and then this is the site plan showing where the sign is proposed to go. And then this is the sign plan showing that it is proposed to be 170 square feet, and then a height of 10 feet. And then this is a photo north into the property, east of the property, west of the property, and then south of the property. And then this is back to the sign plan.
All right, we have Ms. Josie Austin, who is acting as agent.
Gina's gonna present. I'm gonna present.
Okay. And if you'll come up and state your name for the record.
Hey, I'm Jana Phillips. I'm representing Whitfield Signs. Thank y'all tonight for having us. Just a few things I want to point out. So the property in which the sign's going on is roughly 40 acres. And the sign, yes, it exceeds. But if you compare it to the other 2 signs in the area, Statesboro Worship and Julia P. Bryant, both of those, you've got, Julia P. is roughly a 20-acre lot, and then Statesboro Worship is about a 6.5 acre lot. And so those,
I'm sorry to disturb you, but we need the clock started. We have people signed up to speak. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Jana.
so you've got, at Julia P., you've got a 98 square foot sign on a 20-acre lot, and Statesboro Worship's got around a 76 square foot sign on a 6-acre lot. So just in comparison, we've got about a 40-acre lot, a roughly 200,000 square foot building, So yes, this sign does exceed the code, but it also matches the scale of the building. It faces the road on three sides, 301 being one of those sides with the main highway there. And it also matches the scale of the campus and the overall scale of the buildings there. If we were to go at the 40 square feet that is within code, you would never see that sign. This campus also is K through 12. It's not just K through 5 like Julia P is, and hosts varsity sporting events, high school, middle school. It hosts academic tournaments. And so for visibility and wayfinding purposes, we feel as though this is necessary and a very appropriate scale. It also, when you're looking at the 2045 plan in the suburban corridor character area, it architecturally complements the building, and it also complements the materials used throughout campus. So I want to say thank y'all, and I'm going to let some of our others speak tonight.
Okay, you'll reserve that right to speak. All right. Those signed up are all for it. So the first person signed up is Ms. Lisa Houghton. All right.
We were able to catch you down here.
All right, Joey Edenfield, or Joey Roach, I'm sorry. Bill? No? All right, Jana, you've already spoken. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Is there any question from this commission? All right, Mr. Bath?
Come back. I would first like to say that it seems a little excessive in size, and the lot size really doesn't have anything to do with the size of the sign. I think personally, and I don't know about everyone else on this board, but I think it would be fair to go down to the 98 square foot that Julia P. Bryant has. But I think, if we allow you to put a 17-foot by 10-foot sign, every other person is going to want to do the same thing. And I don't want to see a Bobcat sign that's 17 foot by 10 foot.
Bobcat also doesn't have the size
That
of
has
building.
nothing to do with it, though.
Yes, it does, because you incorporate aggregate signage and square footage, and so it should have something to do with it, because your scale of your sign should be able to match the scale of your building.
Okay.
And I will say too, if you look at the size of the panels themselves and not just the overall structure, the panels fall well within the sign code. But in an effort to, again, match the scale of the building, visibility, and to elevate it off the ground for longevity and for purposes of not getting hit by a weed eater and lawnmowers and things like that, it has been elevated, so.
Ms. Phillips, can you tell us your area of expertise
So
while you were
I'm
speaking?
I'm president at Whitfield Signs, and I have 10-plus years of experience in helping design and fabricate signage and wayfinding.
Are there any other questions for Ms. Phillips? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to limit it to 100 square feet, and that's within.
Maximum. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay,
All
I
right,
think,
second.
though, can you restate, I think you need to make a motion, you're approving a variance, correct? But then you're putting a condition on it that limits
Condition.
it to 100 square feet? Okay. Can that be the motion, Madam Chair?
And the second.
Condition of 100 square feet.
All right, any other questions? All those in,
Madam Chair, can I get clarification on the height as well? The height max was 8 foot as proposed. I think you said 10 foot, so.
there's 2 feet difference is what you're saying in the ordinance and what's
That's
allowed?
correct.
There's only 2 feet difference, so does that make a difference to your,
And I'm assuming when the length changes, they're going to probably want to change.
I would
the
think
scale.
so, but just for
I don't have a
clarification.
problem with the height.
No, I don't either.
Okay.
all right, no other questions? Then we've got a motion to accept with the condition of 100 square feet. We've got a second. All those in favor? All right, the variance is granted for the 100 square feet, Ms. Phillips. Thank you. Item number 2 on the agenda. Janet Lanier has submitted an application to rezone approximately 10.55 acres from R80, which is a residential 80,000 square feet, to R25, which is residential 25,000 square feet, for the purpose of creating a subdivision. The property is located at 424 Brandon Drive. Ms. Grace Wooten will act as agent. Mary?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Janet Lanier has submitted this application to rezone 10.55 acres from R80 to R25 for the purpose of creating a subdivision. Ooh, excuse me. This is it located on the map showing it's west of Statesboro on Brandon Drive. This is zoning of the map as it currently is, which shows that it's zoned R80. Here's an aerial of the parcel. This is the site plan, which I will come back to. And then this shows north into the property, east of the property, west of the property, and then south of the property. And this rezoning request has come before y'all before, back in 2024, just for an R3, so, for the same property. And then here is the site plan. And the staff does, if approval is granted, conditions are recommended and the conditions are listed in the staff report.
All right, Ms. Wooten. And there are people signed up to speak, so just keep that in mind.
Okay. All right, thank you again for having me. Good evening, I'm Grace Wooten, and I'm with Pape Dawson, presenting as agent for this rezone request and application. As always, thank you to the Planning and Zoning Commission and the county staff, as well as the community for being here and allowing the opportunity for me to speak to this rezone request for a second time. Mary mentioned this was requested rezone, I think you said R3. That was back in 2024. We were not, that Pape Dawson or the developer I'm working with didn't have any interest in that rezoning, but we did request a couple months ago to rezone to R2, which we can speak to that later. But when we did present a couple months ago for R2, there was concern from the community specifically about density and the maintenance of the product and some stormwater concerns. And I want to emphasize that the developer and I listened, and we decided to defer from moving forward with that application, and we revisited the site plan and application request before revisiting and resubmitting this. Today, we're requesting a recommendation to approve the proposed R25 zoning. As a reminder, the previous request was R2 with the intent of 2 family units. It showed 24 units. This new site plan and proposed zone reflects half-acre single-family lots, which was received from the community and commission of being more desired than the multifamily lots. We also preserved, this site plan preserves more than 3 acres of natural land and provides 1 acre of recreation and open space. Most importantly, it maintains the existing neighborhood's character and scale. I've personally worked with the county staff to review, revise, and redevelop this plan that complies with the Bullock County Comprehensive Land Plan and complements surrounding land use and addresses the community concern for additional high-density and multifamily units. As planned and discussed, and on behalf of acting as agent, we're happy to accept the conditions regarding the amenity area, conventional construction, additional tree requirements, and a privately owned, maintained, and gated road. Lastly, I think it's important for me to reiterate from last time, the site plan is proposed by a local developer known for developing, retaining ownership, and maintaining pristine and quality sites. He's known by much of the community. Mr. Lanier's intention for this site is no different than the other properties that he's developed and owned. With that, I'd be happy to defer the rest of my presentation time, if that's allowed, to the community for any questions or concerns, or most likely their opposition, that I'll do my best to address
All right,
as
thank
it
you.
comes. Thank you.
Before I call up the person signed up to speak. Ms. Loach, would you, just for the benefit of the audience, some people may not know what bonus density means to a subdivision or to a rezone. So could you kind of explain for the
Yes, ma'am. So, within the ordinance in section 1213, it kind of discusses bonus incentives. So, there's a list of amenities that it states, if the applicant provides a single amenity or a combination of amenities below, the amount of bonus incentive shall be provided. So, next to, for example, open space is one which grants a 5% bonus density, and then recreational facility, 5% bonus density, and then there's just a whole list right here. And any further questions, I'm gonna let Mr. Pope answer, but,
understand this correctly, that bonus density is presented if the lot size is smaller than the minimum requirement in the ordinance? Am I saying that correctly?
So bonus densities are available for, throughout the zoning categories. If it was an R15, they could get a bonus density of 15% if they provided those items, or if it was an R80. So we built that in the ordinance a few years ago to incentivize items that were not necessarily required, but the county, would like to see in the developments, so.
All right,
And if you don't mind, and you can restart my time as well, that's a good point to speak to. With this bonus density calculation, I don't think we even took the whole 10 or 15% that we provided the recreational areas for. Initially, we had come back and talked to the staff about rezoning this to R15, but we were providing 23,000 square foot lots. And at that point, that's when they brought up, well, why don't you go to a lower density, and you can still do the 23,000 square foot lots with these additional measures. And so that's in an effort to go for that and really show it's not like we're going to do R15, but we're going to do bigger lots, but to actually say we are going to do R25 and then be required to do those bigger lots. So that was our intention there and how that came about.
all right, thank you. We have Mr. Stacy Webb signed up to speak in opposition.
Madam Chairman, members of the Planning and Zoning Committee, my name is Stacy Webb, and I've been asked by the surrounding neighborhoods to speak out in opposition to this request.
Excuse me, Stacy, can y'all hear him? All right,
I'm trying. The two prior requests to increase the density of housing have been denied. The county staff report indicates there are no reasons this property cannot be used as it is currently zoned, and we have no opposition to that. The owner was aware of it being R80 when he purchased the property. And I might also add that there have been no zoning changes to any of the properties on Brandon Road since the original zoning in 1994. And as you look at the staff report, the truth is that the net density allows 8 of the 10 acres available for building, as shown on the staff report for this property. Being zoned R80 allows 1 house per 2 acres. Why not develop it as it is zoned? Per the proposed site plan, these lots are to be rezoned as R25 with a required minimum of 25,000 square feet per lot. And the proposed lots are plus or minus 22,000 square feet. How much more or less can they be built? I don't know all of the legal requirements, but if they do not meet the standards, then that in itself should be reason enough to deny this request. And as we have done in the past, we'll discuss the issues that we believe led you to deny the previous request. First, water runoff that floods the basin near the intersection of Memorial Highway and Cypress Lake Road. 2, the traffic on Brandon Road, a local road with no curbs, no sidewalks, and only 0.8 of a mile long in length, will have an additional 120 cars per day per the staff report. Equally important is that with this being a proposed gated community, turning into this development will create a problem. The entrance into this development is just over the hill, the crest of a hill, And while you can barely see over the hill, you can see the traffic problems coming from a mile away. While the staff projects a neutral impact, I can guarantee you that there will be several rear-end impacts over this hill. 3, a negative physical impact of 12,000 is projected. And while this small negative impact is noted, it does not tell the whole story that I will get to in a minute. 4, as stated in the report, county services such as fire, police, and EMS are stressed as they are. 5, we think this proposal is not in keeping with the character of the neighborhoods. All of the surrounding neighborhoods are tree-lined, 1 and 2 acre lots. This proposal indicates that hundreds of trees will be cut down and that 1 tree per lot will be planted on each lot, with it being at least 3 inches in thickness. This will not look like the surrounding neighborhoods. 6, we also believe the development is unnecessary. A little over a year ago, you denied a request for 47 townhomes. At that time, the MLS listing averaged 115 housing units for sale per month. The second time you denied this request, it was for 12 duplexes, and the listings averaged 294 units per month. And now the latest Realtor.com list shows 425 housing units on average for sale each month. The list of available housing units has almost quadrupled in the last 14 months. And I would ask, is it necessary to rezone this property? Do we need increased housing density on this property? And these issues are presented as the truth, and on their own, we feel like they are enough to deny this request. But if I was in your position, I would want to know as much about this development as possible, which brings me to the whole truth. The road to nowhere. If you'll look on the site plan, you'll notice at the end of the cul-de-sac, there's a road that extends into an adjacent piece of property. Where does this road lead to? The site plan says it leads to an adjacent property, which coincidentally is zoned R2, a perfect place to put 12 duplexes. It has been said to me by the developer that he intends to use this adjacent 7 acres just east of the property in question to build the duplexes that you denied in 2025. If you agree to rezone this property, you are actually agreeing to access this adjacent property through the newly installed road where he will build 12 new duplexes. And when I asked him why not access this property from the Westbrook side, he indicated that the owner of that property would not allow him access through their road. Why not? Too much traffic? Too much noise? Too much disruption? So when we discuss the county staff report for this project, we are dealing with the truth, but we're not dealing with the whole truth. Water runoff with this additional pavement and loss of trees will only increase the amount of water runoff heading to the basin. If you use the prior request for the duplexes, when added to this new request for 13 houses, the new traffic numbers would swell to 340 in and outs per day onto Brannon Road, a local road. Can you imagine the nightmare of the gate opening 340 times per day, causing traffic to sit in the road as the gate opens and closes, much less the additional 340 cars on this residential road? This road was not built to handle this much traffic. No curbing, no sidewalks, nothing but a worn-out road that people use as a racetrack cutting through to get to Cypress Lake Road to get out to I-16. The staff report for the current project indicates a negative physical impact of $12,000, as we stated. But when added to the negative impact of $144,000 for these 12 duplexes that were shown in prior staff reports, the negative physical impact increases to $156,000. The staff report indicates that you cannot adequately supply fire, police, and EMS protection services to 13 homes. Do you think that it gets better if you add these 12 duplexes? The character of the neighborhood will change. All of us purchase our properties with the mortgages and the knowledge and hope that the Planning and Zoning Commission would protect us. These units are intended to be affordable housing, but in reality, who will buy them? I don't think the owners of these homes would want the traffic that goes back into 340 cars per day going up down their street to these duplexes. The proposed houses are listed as $300,000 homes. Young buyers will need $30,000 to $60,000 for down payments. These houses, coupled with the duplexes, will be purchased by investors who will rent them out to renters who will be here only a short while or to students. These rentals do not meet the character of our communities, and I ask, will you protect us? Prior requests to rezone this property were filed in 2024 and 2025. Both were unanimously denied by this board. The commissioners also unanimously denied the first request, but the second request was withdrawn at the last minute. The Planning and Zoning Committee, whose sole purpose is to give guidance to the commissioners regarding these requests, has twice voted to deny these requests. I believe you see these requests as unnecessary, ill-timed, disruptive to the existing community with traffic and safety questions, and no real benefit to the existing neighborhoods or the county taxpayer. Before I finish, I would like for those in favor of this rezoning to stand. Those who are against this rezoning, please stand. And we thank you. And now we ask that you deny this request.
Thank you, sir. We may have some questions for you in a few minutes, so we'll call you back up. Commission, are there any questions for Ms. Wooten? She's got about 5 minutes left to speak. Would you like to hear her speak first?
She won't answer any of there. She won't answer any of there.
Yeah.
I'd like to
So that's-
address
she's
some of
coming
those.
first.
So again, I just want to reiterate that initial rezone request that was for 47 units of townhomes. That was not on behalf of Pape Dawson or the developer that's looking at it now. Our previous request, yes, we did pull it because of the concern that was presented. I do want to mention, and not to, that zone, the property above is zoned R2, and by right, duplexes can be built there without coming before this commission, and I want to make that would be whether y'all approved this or not, that can happen by right on that property, and that is the reason we want to look at this property individually. As far as the stormwater goes, we actually took a look at this site and did the stormwater calculations for the runoff coefficient. Right now, it does sit at, the precondition is about, the number is 60. That's just the rate of runoff that is current. And then post-development would be 69.5. That's about a 15% increase. That's if we didn't manage it with the stormwater. The state and the county require us to manage that extra 15% runoff on the site. Which we will do. I also want to mention that a typical subdivision development or a typical development in general increases runoff from 30 to 45%, whereas this one increases it from 15%. Right now, the comprehensive land plan also recommends this area be rezoned to something like this, a neighborhood subdivision, which also recommends 4 units per acre. And we are proposing 1.23 units per acre. And I understand that's not a whole number, but it's just doing the division there. So, we've taken that context and the request into consideration. I also want to mention about the existing neighborhood character and all the trees there. Because this is a septic lot, the only amount of grading or tearing down trees or anything that we can do is that road. Anything, if we were to do any other earthwork on any part of the site, then we can't do septic lines in there, which we have to do. So the existing tree canopy that's there, especially around the edges of the lot, we have to maintain that and remain within that character. And you mentioned the gate and the traffic concerns. With a privately maintained road, which the county recommended, a gate is required. We would be happy to not provide a gate and do a privately maintained road. Of course, we would have to come for a variance for that. But if that's of concern, that is not something that we're, maintained or particularly wanting to do. And then the last thing that I'll mention is concerned about property owners and who's going to buy these houses. And this, as I've mentioned, Mr. Lanier, he owns some really great duplexes over on Pulaski. He's owned them for 18 years. His intent would, but this is single-family homes. His intent is to do the exact same thing with this property, to develop it and maintain it as rentals. And they're rentals for young families, young professionals, people like myself that, are having trouble getting into buying a home. But still want to be within those school districts, still want to have a home and a yard. So that's why it's also privately maintained road, is because he would maintain these properties and ensure that they're well kept. And yeah, I guess, and with that, I graciously ask you all to consider our request, and thank you all again for having me.
I have one question,
Yes.
Grace. I see this recreational area, it's down there near where the stormwater, so it looks like it maybe eventually be a small pond and security and safety for young families with children.
Yeah.
Have y'all taken that into consideration?
That would be just your detention pond, your stormwater detention pond. It would most of the time be dry. We should reflect that better on the plan. It's just for that extra, and you can see it's in this concept, it's oversized for that property as well too, but we just wanted to communicate the intent to capture any current and additional runoff within that. The recreational area would be either amenity area like picnic or a playground, depending on what we discuss, what is required in the conditions. But we would take that into consideration. And if it were a retention pond, there would definitely be some fencing or some security around it. Being a detention, it would be mostly dry all the time. Unless it rains, then it would fill up before running off the site.
All right, are there any questions for Ms. Wooten or for Mr. Webb?
I have a question for her. I asked you last time you presented about the runoff. What do the figures mean that you quoted just now?
It's basically the rate of the runoff of the current site. It is assigned a number if you go through this engineering website, and it's the rate at which water currently runs off the site.
Okay.
And our development says that it would be increased by 15, the number is increased by 15%, and a typical development increases anywhere from 30 to 50%. And so I was just pointing that out to say it's a smaller increase, but regardless of what the increase is at all, we are required to make sure that no more runs off the site than currently does. And the stormwater pond that we show currently would capture more than actually what runs off
How many
right now.
gallons will it hold?
I'm sorry?
How many gallons would that detention pond hold?
I wouldn't know unless we did the specific engineering for it. I wouldn't know the exact numbers. I couldn't, but it would capture what is running off and ensure that no
Well,
more
if
is
you had
running off. than
4.5 inch rain, which is not unusual around here, you'd have 154,845 gallons. So is the pond gonna hold all that?
We designed for a 100-year storm and make sure, so if that is what a 100-year storm is.
The 100-year storm we had was, I think 13 inches.
So we
Have you
designed.
seen Cypress Lake Road when we have a heavy rain?
I have not.
Well, the water comes almost to Cypress Lake without this development. So the county has Country Club Road right now washed out, not because of the development, but because of the rain. And it's been closed for almost a year.
Yes, sir, I understand that.
This is going to cause a problem at Cypress Lake Road if we approve this development.
Respectfully, I disagree. This development, that if this were to be developed and engineered per the state and local codes, Cypress Lake Road would look the exact same after this development as it does now, if not better,
There's
depending
no
on
way.
how we
Water
design.
can't run under the road. That's the problem. That
Yes,
means
sir.
the county's got to come in and take that culvert out and put in new drainage. So who's
Understood.
gonna pay that?
All right, Mr. Bath has a question?
As far as the concern about the road to nowhere,
Yeah,
I know it has nothing to do with this, but is that not accessible from Brandon Road already? Because maybe you don't have that answer, but you've got, it looks like it's accessible already from Brandon. I'm just curious of
Yeah.
if that is the intent.
Yeah, currently it is accessible. I think that there are negotiations right now to purchase a portion of the property versus, and I'm not sure about that completely. And that is an option to access it. But either way, this road could exist and get access to that property. And yeah, it could be either way.
Is the
I have
other
a-
property, is Mr. Lanier here tonight?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Go ahead, Mr. Brandon.
I have a question for the staff regarding this road.
Jason.
That whether or not this gets rezoned, he could build a road through there to get to that other piece of land, couldn't he?
Planning and zoning board would have to take a look at that with a sketch plan, but the zoning would allow for two-family dwellings, duplexes on the property north of this property here tonight.
No, but what I'm saying is this rezone doesn't affect whether or not he could build a road through this land to get to it.
That's the road that he's gonna build if he gets approved.
Yeah, but it's owned R80.
Yeah, whether,
He
I
could
think the question
still,
is regardless of
Two
this
different pieces of property.
rezoning, the road could be built to get to
Well,
that property.
if he,
The sketch plan would have to come to this board, but theoretically, could it go across this property? Yes, but the
And it would be privately maintained.
planning and zoning board would have to look at access issues or anything like that, so.
well, I was just asking that question for the benefit of the people concerned, whether or not we vote, whether or not this property gets rezoned, if it stays R80 and they decide to develop an R80 subdivision in here, they could build the exact same road, basically. Like we can't. And access that R2
I see what you're
property.
saying.
You see what I'm,
Then-
am I right in understanding it that way, or is that wrong?
Right, I mean, if there was four lots and they wanted to build a private road or whatever road through this lot to access R2, yes, you could do that.
Okay.
And our staff report would reflect, at R80, you'd have 4 lots that could go on this property. So in your hypothetical there, yes, 4 lots could be divided out with a road as approved by Planning and Zoning Board through a sketch plan. And if, again, the access and all worked out through the sketch plan proposal, if it made sense to this board, then yes, you could access the R2 on that same road.
Okay. Yeah, that was, I was just.
This is not gonna be a curb and gutter road either, is it?
It's a private road.
It would not be required for a curb and gutter road, no, sir. So,
Inverted crown or just float to the,
open ditches,
Open
open
ditches.
swales, yes.
All right,
Yes,
one other-
that's right.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we'll
I didn't
get
think y'all
more
were
into that. We
proposing.
had talked about curb and gutter depending, because of the topography, and I think that we're gonna do what's best when we dig into the engineering too.
If this were to be approved, is there an option of moving that gate further back down so that it doesn't block traffic off Brannan?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Because that would be a big concern, I think, with some of the neighbors. Are there other questions?
Typically when we do a gate, we try to allow for like 4 car spaces before it, like 3 to 4 car spaces.
Okay.
Could you clarify, did you say there is plans to put a fence, like back where the retention pond is?
That's not shown on the, it's a detention pond, so it's mostly a dry pond. Unless you get a big rain and it's holding water, but that's mostly like a dry detention area that holds water until it infiltrates and then goes out. But if it were a retention pond and held water, there would be required security measures of that, but it's not that type of pond, sorry. Yeah.
If you have a dry area, what is that going to look like? I know this is not a final, this is
Yeah.
not a sketch plan, but That's also a concern.
Yeah, we do water plantings like seeds, like wildflower mixes and things like that. Yeah, I mean, you see like stormwater detention areas around like commercial developments and in all subdivisions. They do have a small, like they're wet most of the time. Sometimes they're dry. It's just dress it up with some planting.
If there are no other questions, Mr.
Yeah.
Webb, would you like to come back up and ask some questions? All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Yes, I would question if we do develop the property as it is zoned currently, and we build the road into there that leads into the duplexes. Now, I understand a multifamily unit cannot spill out onto a local road, or they can, a multifamily cannot. Duplexes, however, can spill out onto the local road. I would ask, can the duplexes spill out onto this residential road? It seems to me that it would be overpowering to that residential road. That would be my only question.
All right, that could be an answer for Mr. Pope.
Our lowest classification for a road would be a local street, so this would classify as a local street, whether it's private or public. So the answer is yes, they could access the local road that would theoretically be built in an R80.
And I think in addition to the runoff that you mentioned, I think you've got groundwater, and you're taking out a ton of trees. You've got groundwater going, and I looked up the usage of when you wash dishes, wash clothes, flush the toilet. All you do in the case of the 12 duplexes, every 4 days you could fill up a residential pool. That's a lot of water going underground that's not being surface runoff. I think you need to take that into consideration too.
Just to clarify, it's single-family homes, not duplexes for,
He's talking about
For
the
this
R2.
property, exactly. But for the adjacent property, it would increase exponentially. So,
For the R2 area. All right, are there any other questions for Mr. Webb? Or for the county staff?
Madam Chair, if the fencing around the retention pond is a concern to the board, you could always add that in as a recommended condition. I know that y'all know that, but I just wanted to restate it, that you could add that as a condition.
All right, if there are no other questions, we'll entertain a motion of referral.
motion to deny due to recession fund.
All right, got a motion to deny. Is there a second?
Second.
A second from Matthew. All right. All those in favor of the denial? Show of hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All those opposed to the denial? That's 1. We are going to recommend to the county commissioners to deny this agenda item. You have until March 2nd to maybe, Grace, to meet with some of them, Mr. Lanier, and they can come up, and then it'll be reheard for a final decision, 5:30, this room, on March the 3rd. All right, thank you. And if y'all would go ahead, we still have other agenda items, so we'd appreciate you going outside for discussion.
The beavers keep the thing stopped up, the county fights. Beavers are all the time.
But we checked it this morning. It's March 3rd. We looked at it.
that's the one with the fence.
And I was out of the day.
Deputies, if you'll direct everyone outside, please. Let's close the doors. All right, the final item on our agenda tonight. Concrete Enterprises LLC has submitted an application to rezone approximately 24.38 acres from highway commercial to heavy industrial for the purpose of operating a ready-mix concrete plant and an asphalt plant. The property is located at 12139 Highway 301 South. Mr. Chris Gohagan will be acting as agent. Mary?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we have Concrete Enterprises who has submitted this application to rezone 24.38 acres from highway commercial to heavy industrial for the purpose of creating a concrete plant and an asphalt plant. Here is the location on the map, which shows that it's southwest of Statesboro on Highway 301 South. And then here is the zoning map, which shows it's zoned highway commercial currently. Here's an aerial of the parcel. This is the site plan submitted by the applicant, which I'll come back to. And then this shows north into the property, east of the property, west of the property, and then south of the property. And a development of regional impact study was performed for this, this project. And I also want to let y'all know that a variance was also applied for, which will come before y'all on April 21st regarding the distance, so how close it is to a residence.
Should this be approved?
So I'm going to go to the site plan real quick. So,
Mr. Gohagan? I will say that there are 4 people signed up, but they're all speaking in favor.
All right. A lucky day. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. I'm Chris Gohagan with Talby Rushing. I'm pleased to be here tonight on behalf of Concrete Enterprises to seek your recommendation to the County Commission that this potential site on 301 be rezoned from highway commercial to heavy industrial to allow for operation of a permanent concrete plant and a permanent asphalt plant on this site. I'm pleased to be joined tonight by Dameron Davis, Lee Smith, and Jim Willis. They're all with the ownership group. If you have any questions that are heavily operational, I probably will defer those to these gentlemen, and they'll be happy to address them. And they've got a great story to tell. Concrete Enterprises is a Georgia company. For over 40 years, they've been in the ready-mix concrete and construction materials business. They are all over our state and have a heavy presence in South Georgia with existing facilities in Albany, Moultrie, Tifton, Warner Robins, Macon, and Valdosta. And they're a valued member of each of those communities. And the reason is that they invest heavily in state-of-the-art equipment, and they invest heavily in engineering their site to fit into the community. And for that reason, they make great neighbors. Ms. Deloach, if you wouldn't mind displaying the pictures that I showed you. On your screen, you're going to see some images of what modern-day concrete plant equipment looks like. I wanted you to see this because this is not what I thought of when I thought of a concrete plant. You can just kind of go through them whenever. These are examples of equipment that are existing on existing plants operated by Concrete Enterprises. And this is Vance Hagen Equipment, which is the manufacturer of all of the equipment they use for the concrete plant. And just, I mentioned the heavy investments in state-of-the-art equipment, heavy investments in the site. All told, if this rezone and variance is approved, there will be a build-out value of $1.8 million on this site that'll generate $20,000 plus a year in tax revenue to the county. Back to the equipment, this is what Vance Hagen HT Series dry batch concrete plant equipment looks like these days. This is state-of-the-art equipment. It has centralized dust collection and material recycling systems. These are onboarded systems designed to control dust and exhaust, and they achieve 99.9% particulate capture efficiency on these systems. They also have recycled water storage pits. That captures excess water and returns it to the batching process, which eliminates waste of water and runoff. On the asphalt site, they use Aztec asphalt plants. They use a warm mix asphalt, which reduces the temperature of the product and has environmental benefits. They use closed loop baghouse systems for emissions, carbon filtration systems for odors, and variable frequency drives on their electric motors to reduce noise and increase the efficiency of the operation. So heavy investments to modernized equipment to minimize the external impacts of the operations that'll take place on the site, but also heavy investment in the site. The site will have a stormwater detention pond. It'll also have site-wide irrigation for dust control generated by truck traffic on the site. One of the conditions recommended by the staff report, which is agreeable to the ownership group, is a 10-foot high and 30-foot wide vegetative buffer along the northern and eastern boundaries of the property to further insulate the activities on the site from the neighbors. And traffic's going to be limited in terms of time and frequency, and it's going to be funneled through a paved access road directly out to 301. A little bit more about the site, because this really comes down to the site. Fortunately, Concrete Enterprises knows what they're doing. They know how to choose a site, and they know how to make their operations work on the site that they have chosen. And they've chosen, luckily for us, the property located at 12139 Highway 301 South. It's 24.38 acres, which is a generous portion site for these type of activities. It has immediate access to 301 without being immediately visible from 301, which makes it unique. It's less than a mile from the bypass, and it's about 8 miles from I-16. And that location is a huge part of the calculus for my client. I didn't realize that Ready Mix Concrete has a 30-mile service delivery area. When that mix goes into the truck, you need to have it to a site within 30 miles of your site. Being located next to major arteries like 301, the bypass, and 16 exponentially increases the number of projects that can be serviced from this site, and so that's a huge part of why it's attractive to this applicant. Another important element of the site is what has been done on the site historically. And for the last several decades, Stubbs Metal and Wrecking Yard has operated on that site. And that's important because it's going to impact who this site is attractive to. This is not going to be a subdivision. This is a site that is attractive to industrial uses just like this. Past uses on the site with deteriorating vehicles and structures creates risks for leaking of hazardous vehicular fluids, oil, gasoline, antifreeze, transmission fluid, as well as leakage from heavy metals, asbestos, mercury, and refrigerants. This is a problem site, and this project presents a solution for that site. And for that reason, we're asking you to recommend approval of the request to rezone from highway commercial to heavy industrial. We appreciate Mr. Pope, Ms. Deloach, all of the county staff for their work on the report. They have highlighted some legitimate concerns with an operation like this. Fortunately, they've also highlighted some very adaptive and effective conditions that if you recommend approval of this rezone request, I think those conditions will go a long way to resolving some of the negative impacts that are envisioned by that report, specifically with traffic, law enforcement, and fire safety. But then there's the issue of the project being inconsistent with neighboring zoning and the suburban neighborhood character recognized by the long-term plan. But I would submit to you that has been true for many, many years. Stubbs Wreckage Yard is a wrecking yard. Wrecking yards are only permitted in heavy industrial zones. This property has been a non-conforming use since the advent of our zoning ordinance, and if the property were currently zoned to reflect the use of the property, it would already be heavy industrial. Also, importantly, SRM has a concrete facility about 2 miles further south on 301. It's dead on 301. Everybody who drives up and down 301 sees it, and it's in a highway commercial zone. We're only seeking to do on this property what SRM currently does on their property, but you get the benefit of having this application having come before you and having staff reviewed it and recommended conditions to make it more suitable. We agree to all those conditions and hope you'll find that that resolves a bunch of the concerns with the property. But beyond the concerns, there are reasons to be excited about this property. And about this rezone request and to grant it. As I said, heavy industrial use is consistent with the historical use of this property. This site is only attractive to an industrial use. This is an opportunity to clean up a problem site and to capture the $20,000 a year tax revenue for the county in doing so. And it adds an important local option for residents and companies in our community to get inside that service area and to have a local provider providing these concrete and asphalt and construction materials for use locally. It's going to impact our community and our economy in a major way. We hope you'll look favorably on this request. I'll reserve the balance of my time to address any concerns you may hear.
Is there any concern of noise levels in an operation of this kind?
I think in any industrial use, there are concerns about noise levels. That's why I specifically mentioned on the asphalt plants, they have electrical motors inside of them. Those motors are specifically designed to reduce friction and noise and to increase efficiency. there's going to be noise associated with the trucks that visit this site, but that's true of every industrial site and everywhere in the county. Noise is not typically the concern that you hear of often associated with concrete and asphalt plants.
Are there any questions for Mr. Gohagan? Mr. Bath?
Would the ownership be opposed to putting some kind of 6-foot chain link on their residential sides? They're saying no.
I mean, I can't, they're here and they can address that question, but I can guarantee you they aren't opposed to
Yeah, I mean,
whatever.
I
this
appreciate the berm for sound, but I'm just looking at this future R25. I'm sure. That would not be a problem. Okay, because I know that, I believe SRM's fenced as well, so I'd like to add a condition when we get to that point for a fence.
That's good safety.
Also, next question, the dust. What was the dust factor you said?
So when I mentioned dust, there are two factors of dust. There's dust generated by the plants themselves, and the plants have closed-loop recycling systems to capture all of that dust. Then there's the dust generated from activities on the site as a whole, and the site has site-wide irrigation to keep it damp, to keep that dust down.
How much of an impervious surface will this plant have?
So if you look in the picture that's up on the screen right now, that's the footprint of a pad for one of these plants. They are pad-mounted units. The rest of the site is not going to be poured concrete or asphalt.
That's correct.
Yeah, come on up.
All right,
This
just
is
state your
Dameron
name.
Davis.
Yeah,
Good evening. Thank you for having us. My name's Dameron Davis. I'm the Vice President at Concrete Enterprises. So to really answer a couple of your questions, one, going back to the dust situation, if you see in this picture here, if you could go back to one where one of the trucks was,
Being loaded?
yeah. So this is our actual plant in Tifton, Georgia. The truck backs in and you see that apron around the back of the truck. There's essentially a vacuum system that goes down into that, what is called the shroud system. Collects 99.9% of any dust particles that would be in the loading process. Goes back up into the silo, which it is then recycled into the next load. So to answer that, hopefully that answers that. As in impervious, we would pour foundation for our site. We would probably use crushed aggregate or possibly paving in the site itself. So there would be some impervious surface there. Now, we would, I heard the comments earlier about stormwater and things like that. We would obviously go through Georgia EPD for a stormwater permit. We would capture 100% of any processed water on site, and we would recycle that back into a concrete mix. I hope that answers those questions. So,
All right, any other questions?
Would there be sales tax revenue off of the products they sell too?
Yes. Yes, sir. So,
Come on, please.
excuse me. Lee Smith with C.W. Matthews. We would be the asphalt partner in it. Yes, sir. There would be sales tax generated from the sales of asphalt. So we're looking around 100,000 plus tons of asphalt annually. And off that average sales price is around $80 to $90 per ton. So off that would be your local sales tax. Regarding the permits, same as what the Concrete Supply Group is saying as well. There will be air permits through the EPD, stormwater permits through the EPD as well that maintain them.
You authorize crush and run also in this process?
Sir,
Crush and run?
crusher run? Do we operate off of the crusher run? So the aggregate stockpile area will be paved, and then the surrounding area would be a crusher run.
If there are no other questions, we'll entertain a motion of recommendation.
Make a motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve, is there a second, all right, from Mr. Lane,
Is that with the?
with conditions as stated.
Conditions, yes.
All
Is
right,
that-
do we need to add the fence for the residential?
Can we say 6-foot chain link for against any residential areas, whatever that? whatever that means.
So, okay, so basically be
Just your regular 6-foot industrial chain link fence, just to keep kids out.
around the
whatever the.
Residential-
R25 area that's gonna be developed at some point, I'm sure.
So then, not the entire site, but
I don't think it's
abutting the
necessary.
residential zones. Okay.
Just what abuts residential areas.
All right, that will be added as a condition number 5.
Six.
Number 6, number 6. All right.
Got a
We've got a
motion.
motion, we've got a second. All those in favor of recommendation of approval? All those opposed? That is unanimous.
Did everyone get to speak?
We only had 4 people signed up, or they're all for. Bonnie, would you like to come up?
We were in opposition, I'm sorry.
Okay, it was, you're marked, all right. Well, then, all right, then come forward, Bonnie, if you want to. We'll
You want me to
have to take the motion back at
make a
this point.
motion to
Yeah.
rescind my motion?
We got a
Pardon me?
motion to rescind his motion. Is there a second? All right, all those in favor of rescinding it at this point? All right, that's unanimous. All right,
Sorry about that. Seems like there's a misprint on what we want, but I'm here. My name is Bone Hopkins. I'm here to speak on behalf of my grandmother, Bonnie Greist. Yes, and the major concerns from our family and our property located on the, seems to be the southern part up against the major roadway of 301 is mostly the proposed driveway and entry point for this property. The way it splits up the property and our concerns of devaluation of the property as well as general noise concerns. I do appreciate, sounds like they've gone to great lengths and measures to retain pollution and anything like that, but mostly noise as well as the division of our property through the middle for entryway.
all right. Thank you,
So
sir.
yours is this property down here?
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
All right, Jim
Okay,
Willis, you were also signed up to speak. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Okay. All right, no more questions for Mr. Hopkins. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we will, any more
Can we get
discussion?
Mr. Gohagan back up?
Sure.
So
Is there any way to move this driveway?
There's no way to move the driveway. That is the point of access for the property, and that's not really a zoning issue. Staff did include as a condition that it be an all-weather point of access, and the plan is to pave that point of access. Unfortunately, it's the only way to access this property. We're going to make it as nice as possible and certainly improve it. But, this has been a commercial operation, an industrial operation in the back, for 30 years. There's been, some level of commercial vehicular traffic coming in and out of this site during that time. Don't expect to increase that vehicular traffic total and do expect and plan to improve the road, so.
I have a question regarding the access. How is it like an easement? I mean, how does it, is it a deeded easement or something?
It's a deeded right-of-way that splits through 2 pieces of property.
Well, but it's already
It's already deeded.
It's
yeah.
already deeded,
That's right.
basically.
It's part of this property, correct?
Okay, so it's not even an easement, is it
It's a deeded point of access.
so that's actually part of the lot then, okay, all right.
can you put back up the one that shows the road?
Are you talking about this photo, or are you talking about the?
Well, can you show their property and where, the overview maybe?
So nothing about the path of that road will change. It will be
So
paved.
the mobile homes are to the north?
So we're talking about now, I think, the sales lots for the mobile homes. The residential mobile homes are going to be to the right of your screen, the east. Yeah. So I think right now, we're talking about these 2 pieces of property.
Okay.
Bisected by the road that would access this. There is a mobile home park over here, but that's not, I don't think that's the perspective of the concerns that we're just.
Okay, but the ones to the north, nobody lives in those. Those are all for sale, correct?
Those are just vacant lots. Vacant lots, yes, sir.
Okay, but the ones below are houses south of the road?
Those are unoccupied. That's a lot. They sell mobile homes off that lot.
Okay. So we're not really affecting residents.
Nobody lives on the properties we're talking about right now. These are commercial lots where they sell mobile homes.
All right.
Jason wants. All right, any other
Okay.
questions then? Then we'll entertain a motion of referral.
I'll make the motion to approve with the conditions and the fence on the side adjacent to or adjoining the subdivision.
Is there a second? All right, for Mr. Lane. All those in favor? That's unanimous, no opposition. All right, again, we'll recommend approval to the county commission, 5:30, March 3rd, in this very room. Thank you. Is there any other business we need to conduct tonight? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn? All right, motion for Mr. Bath, a second. Mr. Lovett, all those in favor? This meeting is adjourned.